snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So I am here today to do a book review, and the book that I'm going to be reviewing is the first one in Brent Weeks' Lightbringer series, and this is called The Black Prism. I read this as part of a buddy read with various different people who I will link down below. All of them are amazing. We had a very fantastic time. I actually finished this way before everyone else because I really got into this story and I really enjoyed it. And I did think that I would, knowing how much I've loved the first two in his Night Angel series. So I was very much hoping that I would love this one. I've heard kind of mixed things from people who've read the Night Angel series. Some of them seem to really love it. Other people seem to dislike it and not think it is as good. I didn't think it was quite as mind-blowingly good as I found the Night Angel series, but I still really enjoyed it, and I think the magic system in this is very superior to that in the Night Angel series, and there's a lot to take in. So this book was vastly different from what I imagined it being. I knew that there was a very cool magic system within this, but I didn't realise quite how complex it was going to be. Not complex in a bad way, just there is a lot to take in, and therefore a lot of this book does feel like exposition, where it's kind of telling you this is how the magic works, whereas his Night Angel series is very much action and emotion, and it's quite a roller coaster in that way. This one has a lot of segments which tell you a lot about the magic, which to me is a good thing because I really like complicated or awesome magic systems, and I think this one definitely has that. But I feel like the second and the third one in this series will probably be really good because we now have this solid foundation of knowing what the magic is and how it works. But we kind of needed a slower paced book in the beginning of this one to just give us that exposition about the magic and tell us how it all works and how it all weaves together and all of that stuff. So we have that a lot in this book, which is not quite what I expected, but it's definitely a necessary part of the story, and it makes sense when it's being told to us, so it's not just shoehorned in, it does actually make sense and stuff like that. This story is set in a world which is very focused on colour, and the people's ability to not only see these colours, but also to use and manipulate these colours, because that is the magic system of this world. Basically, if you can draft a colour, then you are better than a regular person because you have the ability to be a monochrome or a polychrome, or maybe even the Prism himself. There are various different types of people in this world. As I said, we've got the monochrome, polychrome, and the Prism himself. We also have the white. The white is another kind of ruler. They kind of share like the ruling of the land. We also have the chromeria, which is basically what the Prism and the white are the head of, and so on. So there's a lot of different facets within the organisation of the chromeria, and we also have the different satrapies as well. So there's a lot of different things that we focus on within this book, but it all works and it all connects in a very interesting way, and some of these connections are kind of tenuous and there's political disparity between the factions, but overall it works to a degree, and when we join the story, things are not really in uproar or anything too serious, but of course things head downhill fairly quickly and we see some political dissent going on. In this story, we'll follow a host of different characters, but probably our most major character out of all of them is a young boy named Kip who lives in a very small village. He's quite unfit and he's also quite rotund, or fat, shall we say, and this is definitely a prominent feature of the book. He starts off being quite a whiny character and he definitely grows over the course of the book, but his weight and things like that is mentioned a lot throughout the book, and our main character is quite a sarcastic one, so it can come off as being a little bit rude at places, whereas I think it's meant to be very satirical and sarcastic, but actually it's quite an interesting thing too, because there are some situations where his weight and things hinder him throughout the course of the book. So it's definitely thought-provoking. Possibly it's sarcastic, possibly it's rude. I don't know how you guys want to view it, but for me, I took it to be very sarcastic, and I quite enjoyed having very sarcastic and sarky characters. Needless to say, because Kip comes from this very small town, there's a lot going on in the broader world that he doesn't know about, and when he meets a stranger, he realises that he might be in some jeopardy and trouble, and everything that he believed in and everyone who he has always loved and adored and spent time with might be facing some really critical things. I will admit that when I began, Kip wasn't my favourite character. I didn't know how I was meant to feel about him, and I didn't really love his character to begin with, and that was a bit of an annoyance to me because obviously he's a major character, But as the story went on, I felt like he definitely grew and he definitely started to confront some of those problems of his self-deprecation and lack of confidence. And I enjoyed seeing him grow and progress as a character. And I think he's definitely an interesting character who I wanted to learn more about. I was annoyed by his characteristics sometimes, but I always wanted to know more about his storyline. We also follow Gavin, who is the Prism himself, and the Prism, as I said, is very, very high up in the Chromeria and he is very important. We know that he's got to be pretty powerful right from the beginning because he holds the position of Prism and there's only one Prism every generation. He's also brilliantly sarcastic. He's quite an amusing and funny character to read about. His story basically weaves its way in and out of many of the other characters' stories because he has this leadership role. He can weave his way into various different people's lives. And I definitely found myself liking Gavin straight from the beginning. He was very engaging, he was really entertaining to read about, and I felt like his story started off really action-packed and just drew me in deeper and deeper as I continued to read it. Plus there's some very, very interesting twists with his story, and he's a very complicated character, so there's a lot that's going on with him internally as well that we have to kind of work out, and I really, really enjoyed trying to untangle the web of him and his personality, because that was something I didn't expect to have to do, but I really enjoyed doing over the course of the book, and I think we find out a lot about him over the course of this story, and it definitely was enjoyable. Our next major character is Karras, although she's not quite as major as Kip and Gavin, and she is a young woman who works as part of the Chromeria, and she was once engaged to a very powerful man, but now she is just a fighter through and through. She's very feisty and she's a very strong female when we first meet her, but actually when you look a bit deeper into her personality and her character, you definitely see that there have been dodgy decisions in her past, and there's been lies and there's been secrets in her past that are quite interesting to delve into and find out and discover, because actually there's a lot more going on than just a strong female character. She's actually a very, very interesting female character with a lot of different facets, and I definitely think that some of the moments of her story caught me a little bit off guard and surprised me a bit, so I enjoyed that a lot. Liv is our next character. Liv is quite a minor character in the grand scheme of things, but we do see some elements from her point of view. She is the daughter of Corvin, who again is another fairly important character. Liv is in training to become a drafter. She's in the Chromeria. She wants to learn how to hone her skills, but as she's been learning there, she's kind of had to face the reality of the world is not just wonderful learning and being taught and being all happy. There's actually a lot of backstabbing people out there. There's a lot of nasty people out there, and they're out to get someone like her who is quite a gifted person, really. She's very intelligent, she's very skillful, but she has some real moments of indecision and tough decisions that she has to make, and she's very much confronted with all of these brutal realities all at one time. So she has a lot to deal with and a lot to kind of process over the course of the story. And finally we have the prisoner, who is initially an unnamed character, but we do find out who they are later on. I don't want to give anything of the plot away concerning the prisoner, but I found the prisoner's character really mind-blowingly interesting and very captivating, and even though there's only very small segments throughout the book about the prisoner, I loved reading them, and I thought that they were definitely some of the most action-packed and some of the most informative sections, so I really like that character. And if you've read the book, you'll know who I mean, but I definitely found that character to be the most intriguing and mysterious throughout the storyline. The plot itself is quite tricky to describe because although there's always something exciting going on and there's a lot of battle scenes and action scenes that happen, there's also a lot of explanation of the magic system. I definitely enjoyed learning about the different colour magics and learning about the different emotions that certain colours gave to the drafter and things like that. I thought that was really, really cool. I think Brent Weeks has really considered this system of magic, and it definitely shows in the way that it works and the way that it's explained over the course of this book. But there were some moments where there was an awful lot being thrown at you, so I would say that if you start this and you get a little bit confused by the magic, just keep going, because eventually it all becomes really clear and everything makes sense and you're like, oh my gosh, this is complex but amazing, and that's how I felt. However, of course, because you're getting a lot of information that you don't always understand instantly, there can be a few slow moments in here, so there are a few slower moments, but overall it's a really fast-paced book. I certainly feel like by the halfway point of this story I was really, really into it. A lot of the magic had been explained to our main character and we really understood it, and that was good. And from that point onwards you get a really story-driven narrative with a lot of battle and action going on, which I found interesting. I'm not always a fan of battle, but I did find the politics between the battle interesting, and I found focusing on our major characters very interesting as well. So I would say it was a well done battle scene, although it could have been maybe a bit shorter. So on the whole, I think the fact that we've now got all of the explanation of the magic out the way, and we've also had some crazy events going on in the plot, Book 2 and 3 will probably be really, really wonderful, and I have no doubt that that is the case because I've seen a lot of reviews that say Book 2 and 3 are vastly improved on Book 1, and I really liked Book 1, so I'm very much looking forward to reading the next two, and I very much hope that I can get to them really soon. As you guys may have guessed, I rated this fairly highly, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I definitely feel like it's something very, very special, and I am enjoying the series, and Brent Weeks is solidly one of my favourite authors forever. I love his stuff, and I cannot wait to read A, the final one in the Night Angel trilogy, but B, the second and third in this. He's amazing, so just wonderful. Thank you all for watching. Let me know if you've read the book or what you guys thought of it, and I would love to hear all of your comments in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye!